Hi guys, I thought today we could just talk a little bit about how Doom Eternal is looking in terms of gameplay and its movement, especially with the Doom Slayer. Now, compared to Doom 2016, of course, all the classic Dooms, the Doom Slayer and the gameplay around him, his environments are going to be actually quite different to what we've seen so far, with lots of new things thrown into the mix. I mean, we've got the classic stuff here as well, but we've also got new environments, new gameplay elements, new enemies, new everything basically, all been thrown in, and it's a lot more different and a lot bigger compared to Doom 2016. So I think there's plenty of things to sit here and actually talk about relating to the gameplay. I think there's a lot of things that Doom Eternal is doing better. There's a lot of things they're taking heavy risks on, and there's a few things that I personally am not sure on yet. Don't think they're bad, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure on how it's going to work out. I think the older games might have done it better, but we get to that in a minute. First of all, let's have a quick glimpse over the enemies. So, not only are we going to see twice the amount of demon types in Doom Eternal, they've all had an upgrade in some way or another. Many have new attacks, many have new designs as well, many have gone back to classic, like the Mancubus, the Imp, and some enemies have just changed probably for the best, I guess you could say, like the Baron of Hell, who has now got energy blades, but apparently there might be the original Baron still here somewhere along the lines. I hope so. Yeah, the Baron enemies I do like, and I can see why they've changed it, but at the same time I can see why some people might be a bit upset. And of course we've got the returning classic enemies, and I'm also going to include the Cyber Demon there as well, because technically this is now the returning classic Cyber Demon enemy, even though he's now known as the Tyrant. But other enemies like the Pain Elemental or Regnatron have not seen a Doom game since the 90s, not like an official main console release. I mean, I think some of them enemies did appear in like the RPG spin-offs, but I really do not classify that as a main title, just a bit of a spin-off. So yeah, it's awesome to see these enemies, but the main thing that they're doing with the demons this time, of course, is the destructible demon mechanic, where you can actually see the damage you're doing to the demons this time, so you know how close you are to actually killing the demons instead of just shooting them till they die. You now know how weak they are, how strong they are, if they've been attacked before, if they've not. It's definitely going to be a good indication to see how strong or weak these enemies are and see how close they are to dying. That's what I like about it so much. Also, it's going to be awesome just seeing like these enemies fall apart. Like here you can see the Arachnotron's gun actually being shot off his head. So what once was before a really tough enemy pinning down the player with a plasma gun is now limited to very small melee attacks because his plasma gun's been shot off. And I do like that, and I want to see different ways on how that's going to be implemented and see what you can do. I'm hoping that the Cyber Demon Tyrant, if they're still regular enemies, which I really hope they are, I want to see if you can shoot off his cannon and see what the Cyber Demon would do then, how he would react. I mean, it's awesome stuff. I mean, I've not actually really talked about this before on my channel, this destructible demons, but it doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. I think it was an awesome thing to do, and one of the best things they've done in Doom Eternal so far. It's just going to be awesome seeing the enemies deteriorate over time. That's awesome stuff. And of course we've got the weapons. Now to me all the weapons are mostly going to be the same, or the same types anyway. So you've got your SSG, your chain gun, you've got the new weapon of course that replaces the Gauss cannon, which basically is the Gauss cannon but upgraded. But you don't really need that many more new weapons. I'm not sure how many they've got left and not showcasing yet. I kind of feel like there'd be one or two behind the scenes that are not showcased to us yet. But anyway, the weapons in this game seem to be once again really powerful, or in some cases much more powerful compared to what they were in previous games. Like the SSG. It might not be more powerful in terms of firepower, but now of course it's got the meat hook, which is one of the coolest things so far we've seen. The meat hook is just going to be my favourite thing to use, I can tell. Just attaching to different enemies, ripping them to pieces, using it to your advantage. It really adds to the gameplay. I mean, now this weapon itself is going to be a huge part to the environment around you compared to other weapons. It kind of makes me think on what they might do to other weapons to make you actually use them, because I don't think they're going to want us to use the SSG all the time. I mean, I've not actually played Doom Eternal yet, and I know the other weapons from the gameplay I've seen are really powerful, but I kind of feel like that the SSG is a strong and actually essential part to the gameplay here. You probably need this weapon in places. You actually need to use the meat hook to get around. I mean, of course, there are other movements that the Slayer has got now, but I feel like the SSG is going to be a huge help. Not only just there for the firepower this time, but there for the actual movement and gameplay itself. Awesome stuff. We haven't seen the BFG in action yet. We've seen it against the Cyber Demon, but we didn't actually get to see it used. So we don't know if this weapon's changed or not. But for the most part, I think mostly the weapons are going to be the same, except for the new upgraded mods like the shotguns and machine guns. Of course, the chain gun's now even more powerful than it was before. But I think the core of the weapon will still be the same, and that's also the same for the weapon wheel as well. Maybe excluding the pistol, but I'm not really worried about not having the pistol. It'd be great if it's there, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be a, oh no, they've messed it up now. No, there's no pistol in the game. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be a, okay, it's there kind of weapon, or it's not. And that's what I think of the pistol. It's not really going to be a weapon you're going to go to in the later end of the game as well to get the best glory kills or the best action either, so not really essential. Of course, we know about the flamethrower now as well, or the flame cannon on his arm. That is awesome stuff. I can't see that being too effective against the bigger enemies. I mean, we've seen it in action against some of the bigger enemies and it did do good damage, but I think that's more meant for the smaller enemies. So enemies like the soldiers, the imps, because that can set them on fire. And of course you can shoot their armor off, which is awesome. Yeah, shooting their armor off, once again, actually is going to be essential to the gameplay as well, because I feel like Doom Eternal is going to be much tougher than it was in Doom 2016, going by what everyone has said so far playing the game. And of course the actual gameplay itself that we've seen, whoever's playing as the Doomslayer, especially in the Doom E3 gameplay, got pretty hurt really quickly, and apparently that was only on the medium difficulty, not actually the strongest. So that is, it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee that now. So shooting armor off enemies is going to be essential, and that is also what the chainsaw is going to be for, because ammo is going to be tight. According to one of the interviews we've seen, ammo is supposed to be tight in this because it automatically makes you, or forces you actually, to use the chainsaw a lot more, because of course the chainsaw, when you kill an enemy with it, drops all this ammo, so it refuels you up a little bit. Not fully, but it does bring you back into the fight. And by the looks of it, that's what they're trying to encourage the player to do a lot more now. Resources around the level are going to be a bit less common to what they have been in Doom 2016, and it's going to force you to use your chainsaw effectively instead of just using it all straight away and clearing out an area without having to worry. You're supposed to use it only when you get pretty much dry on ammo. So when you need ammo, again, that's when you pull out the chainsaw instead of just wasting it straight away. If you waste it straight away, you're going to struggle with ammo. And I like that mechanic because it's going to force you to adapt to the combat area that you're in. You can't just go running and gunning and hoping for the best. You need to use specific weapons, specific ammo at each given time. And of course you need to figure out which enemy to take down first. There's always a priority enemy that needs to be killed first. Like the original games, chain gunners, arch vials always need to be killed first, because they're going to be the ones that give you the most trouble. And then after that you work your way down probably to cyber demons, mancubi, arachnotron, revenants, etc. So yeah, I think Doom Eternal is going to force you to adapt to the gameplay a lot more to what Doom 2016 did. I mean, Doom 2016 didn't exactly let you just walk along like a nice walk in the park. You did have to fight your way through that as well. But I think Doom Eternal is going to take it to the next level. And one way they've tried to adapt to the gameplay, or at least the difficulty, is the one life or the one-ups that you can get and you see around the world. So Doom Guy now gets these one-ups that he picks up, and it gives him a chance to, well, it gives him all his health back, and instead of going back to the specific checkpoint he was before. So yeah, basically like an arcade style, which arcade is definitely the familiar word that comes to mind with Doom Eternal. This is one of the things that I'm not sure about. I like the idea and I understand why they did it, but it doesn't scream out, oh, that's Doom to me. I mean, I've never in my life picked up a one-up in Doom, apart from, of course, the arcade mode in Doom 2016. And I think that's where they get the inspiration from, because yeah, it's a good idea for the arcade mode. I like it there, but it was a huge risk putting it in the campaign. And at this point, I cannot say it's a good or bad decision until I've actually tried it out for myself. I mean, I might actually be relieved they've had it in when I've played the gameplay for myself and see how challenging it is. And it might be so challenging that you can't actually live without the one-ups. And maybe on the hardest difficulty they don't exist at all, and that's why we only played the middle difficulty to try them out. But whilst we're on the topic of this arcade style, I think there's a lot more things that Doom Eternal is doing actually to feel more like an arcade game, which once again is going to be very hit or miss for many Doom players. I mean, of course, we've got all these different gameplay styles, which is good. I like the variety they're trying here, but as long as the platforming, like, because we have all this platforming now, like ledge climbing, like swimming is one part as well. Of course, we're going to use the meat hook. We've got this dash. This is all fine as long as it doesn't affect the gameplay. I don't want to be doing that more than I'm slaughtering demons, if you know what I mean. I want to kill demons, and then I don't mind doing platforming to the next area to kill more demons, as long as it's not just a whole level of platforming, because that would be really annoying. Because that Argent Tower level for me in Doom 2016 was actually the weakest level in the campaign. I didn't like it much. It just focused too much on the platforming instead of the killing, even though there were some really good moments in it, like the moment you actually teleported to hell. That was a great moment. I like that bit. But the actual climbing of the tower, no, you can definitely kick that out of a Doom map, in my opinion. So I hope it doesn't go down that route and make every level like that, because that would be pretty annoying. And of course, the dash ability, another one that could be very hit or miss. So the player, or the Doomslayer, now has this dash ability that I like the idea, but the only thing that I'm not sure about this is that you get these dash refills in the map hidden around, which is a bit weird because you're going to need the dash. I understand that to get to these other areas of the map, but just seeing these dash refill mechanic things, whatever they are, just floated in midair in one of the Doom levels, they just seem a little bit out of place to me. And once again, it's going to be a thing where I have to play it for myself to see if I like it or not. But to me, it's not a bad thing, but it just sticks out again. It's a huge risk, and I really hope these risks pay off, because so far everything else seems to be going down so nicely, and it would suck if Doom Eternal fell on the final hurdle. I don't think it will. I honestly think it's going to do great. It's just got to try and keep these like arcade style things they've added in. They've got to try and actually make them feel like a Doom game instead of just throwing it into the mix because they feel like it. I mean, I can see it. It does still look like a Doom game. There's just a few things here or there that stick out a little bit to me. Apart from that, I think Doom Eternal is going to blow Doom 2016 out the window. Doom 2016 was great, don't get me wrong, but I think if Doom Eternal pulls off what it's trying to do in terms of gameplay, lore, literally everything it's trying to do, it literally could sit up there as one of the best Doom games we've ever seen. It's got a long way to go, because the classic Dooms, obviously, they're revolutionary. They changed FPS forever. They actually changed games forever. It added so much to the gaming history that we know and love today that it would be almost impossible to beat that. But they could almost live up to that. That's the best they could do. And I think Doom Eternal might be doing what Doom 1 or 2 did. It might be trying to once again revolutionise the FPS genre, take it to the next level. That's basically, I think that's what their idea of this is, and I think they are succeeding in most of the parts of the showcase so far. And when Doom Eternal finally gets here in November, I really hope it does live up to this hype. I really hope it becomes one of the best FPS games we've had in a long time. Doom 2016 would manage to do it, and this so far is like 3 or 4 times bigger than Doom 2016. So I can't imagine how awesome this is going to be when we finally get to play it, if it lives up to the hype. So yeah, that's just basically a little discussion about the gameplay movement of Doom Eternal. What do you think of it? Do you think the gameplay is awesome? Do you think it's well too much, maybe? Or do you think that it's going to be the best Doom we've seen yet? What about Doom Eternal itself? Do you think it's going to live up to the hype, or do you think it's going to be just okay, or do you think that Doom 2016 might have been better? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.